Hey everyone, what's going on? My name is Shanif, and I'm the founder of Locusive. In a recent video, I showed you how you could use Locusive to essentially chat with your data and get answers from your Google Sheets. In today's video, I'm going to walk through very quickly how that all works. So if you haven't seen that video, I'll link to it, but essentially I'll also replay it right here. Now we've got this Google Sheet. It's got a list of grants or funding opportunities. This was put together by a company called Grant Exec. Great folks. If you're looking for funding, go check them out, non-dilutive. But this Google Sheet is connected to the Locusive Slack bot. So one of the questions that we can ask this particular Slack bot is something about grants. So let's say you're working in the energy sector. Maybe you want to have a quick question. I'll copy and paste it here. Please give me a few grants that are available for renewable energy projects. Now, what the system is going to do is it's going to go through and pull this data. And up on the right-hand side here, I've actually got the server that's handling this particular request running. And what I wanted to do was walk through essentially what's going on in the background. Now we can see we got this particular message back from the bot, and it's got a handful of different grants that come from the grant database. So let's see how this actually works really quickly. Okay, so the first thing was that we've actually hooked up this particular sheet to Locusive through the Google Sheets integrations that we offer. We've got a couple of different integrations that you can use to connect your data to a large language model and to our system. So we've plugged that in, and by the fact that we've plugged it in, when we now ask the system about a particular type of question, it's going to go through and process that request. So let's walk through what's happening when it processes this request. Now, for those of you who've never looked at the output of a server before, don't worry. I'll walk you through it. And I've got this color coding, so it makes it a little bit easier to see what's going on. So the first thing that happens is this server receives this user message. Please give me a few grants that are available for renewable energy projects. All right, so you can see here what's going on is that we have started to query our vector database, which is Pinecone, for any relevant context from the knowledge base that we've connected to Locusive. And we've gotten 20 results back. In the case of a Google Sheet, each individual row in the sheet will come back as its own result. And so we've got a handful of results that are relevant to this particular request. Now, the concept of relevance touches a little bit on how vector databases work, but it basically comes down to how similar is the content in each row from the spreadsheet to the request that you've given it. Okay, so now that we've got these 20 requests, we're actually making a request to the LLM on the user's behalf, on my behalf. And it's a system message, and it says, I've got the following document snippets, or basically pieces of a document that have been returned as a result of my query. Here are the snippets, and you can see what's coming back is the name of the Google Sheet, along with a similarity score that identifies how similar a particular record in that sheet is to the query that was provided. And then you've got the actual content of that particular row in Google Sheets, along with the name or the column, and then the value of that column. And we've got a list of all of the columns and the values of those columns for each row. So what's going on here is we're basically providing the top 3 to 5 records that come back from the Google Sheet, and we're including it in a prompt. We're including all of the content from that row, for example, the link, the funding source, the state. This is all part of that Google Sheet. In this case, we're doing 5 different grants. And then we give a prompt. In the same prompt, actually, we give a command to the LLM that says, using only the data in the content provided, you must now determine if my request can be answered accurately. And we give it a list of instructions to follow. We tell it, hey, here's how we want you to provide your response as a JSON object. We'll give it also some additional guidelines for how it should essentially think or reason. We'll tell it, this is how we want you to cite your sources. We'll give it a list of the sources that it's allowed to cite. And we'll give it an example format for how it should respond. So then the LLM comes back. In this case, we're using Fireworks AI and Llama 3. If you've never used Fireworks, they're great, cheap, lets you stand up your own instances. Highly recommend them. And what we're doing is we're having the LLM essentially output its response in a very structured format where it reminds itself first, this is what was asked, and then it thinks out loud about what it needs to do. It thinks about whether there's a final answer available, and then if there is, it provides the text for the final answer. And this text for the final answer is exactly what you see here. And then it provides a list of the sources that it referenced. Now this gets sent directly back to Slack, and this is what we see as users who are querying the Locusive system. Now, if there weren't actually results that were available from the knowledge base, then what would have happened was the system would have basically gone into autonomous agent mode, which is where it essentially thinks about what it has to do next, runs a tool to make progress towards its plan, and then evaluates the results. And it continuously does this until it either has a response for the user or it determines that it can't do it. But in this case, we like to provide knowledge-based documents up front before it gets into that mode so it can provide a quick response. Now, hopefully this helps you get a sense for what's going on in the background when you are using Locusive to query your Google Docs or your Google Sheets. In the next few videos, I'll be talking about how we can handle different types of documents, databases, and how it all works. If you're interested in trying Locusive for your own company, please feel free to reach out. We are working with a few early beta customers now, and we're giving them some good discounts in exchange for their feedback. All right, that's it. Thanks a lot. Have a great day. Take care.